888-888-9803. We have a very special guest. We've never had someone on like today, but you might want to sit back and take notes today. I'm going to say it again. Sit back and take notes. The top three things we're going to talk about today. What is prehab versus rehab? Now, I've never heard that before, but Connor's going to help us today and how to prepare for the next level or amateurism sports. And the last thing, what do you do to prepare for NCAA Division One SEC baseball? I'm gonna throw that in there, SEC baseball, because that's a different mecca when you talk about baseball at different levels and much, much more. Today's guest is a man that's been around for quite a while in the sports industry. He has a twin brother as well, and we're going to get into that as well. But after having three surgeries, countless rehabs attempts, his name is Connor Bedell, was forced to give up his baseball career. Now that's why we're going to talk about prehab versus rehab. Forced to give up his career, and then he discovered something called posture therapy. I've never heard that before, but I like it already because it's probably gonna help my back. For the first time in years, he was able to throw pain free, and it changed everything. So anybody that's going through pain, rehabbing, anything dealing with pain, we're gonna talk about that today. And then he began his journey with something called posture alignment. I'm gonna say it again, posture alignment. We've never heard that before, but it sounds like something that athletes and non-athletes need to understand what it is so they can get some education, because people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. If you don't know something, it can destroy you and it will destroy you. So that when his mission began with other people like today, and we're going to talk about, he's the founder of Growing Posture Therapy, a business that works with athletes and for youth and professional rankings as well. So you can overcome pain, and I'm going to repeat this part, avoid surgery. That's the word, surgery, to extend your baseball career, basketball career, football career, whatever the case may be. Well, we're basically going to talk about baseball today, but proving what is the right thing to do to get healing. We're bringing on the very own Connor Bedell. How you doing, Connor?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, that's good. I think I did. I chopped it up pretty good. That was a pretty good intro, I thought.
I'd say so.
I thought so. I think I see in the back over there you got that lovely looking Mizzou, you know. And I remember when they used to be, this was back in the day, they used to be in the Southwest Conference back in the day. It was the Southwest Conference. For the people who don't know what that is, look it up. Just look it up. The Southwest Conference before it was the SEC Conference. And I know that being in the SEC Conference, it brings money and revenue sharing for Mizzou. Um, I like that back there, because I'm actually from Chicago, born and raised. I'm a Chicago native, but now I live in South Florida, which I love it here, and Mizzou. So let's talk about your beginning when you first started this uh, journey to baseball, because I mean,
Yeah.
you had a journey before we could talk about the prehab versus rehab. What happened to get you to where you are today? So, what in the beginning you played baseball? How long have you been playing baseball, and what happened for your career to be shortened?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started playing high level youth travel baseball when I was about 7, 8 years old. Grew up in Davenport, Iowa, so right on the Iowa-Illinois border. And we were constantly traveling to like Atlanta, Nashville, going out to Maryland, Florida, Wide World of Sports down at Disney. And just got to play against guys from all over the country at the highest levels from really the time I was 8 years old. So as I was going up through this, lived in Iowa my entire life, started playing for some more national premier teams at the age of 11. So I played on a couple of teams out of Detroit, a team out of Chicago, a team out of Pennsylvania, and we would just pretty much drive to all these different tournaments every week because the competition that we were getting in Iowa wasn't necessarily what my dad wanted us to have to try to progress us forward. So throughout that whole time, went to 3 different Team USA trials down at Cary, went to the Dominican Republic when I was 12 years old with Team USA Great Lakes, and my career was pretty much over by the time I was 14. So my freshman year of high school, I was playing basketball, took a charge, ended up getting a bone bruise in my elbow, and just being the dumb 15-year-old that I was, I tried to throw through it and play through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up making that problem worse. And I started going to all these local doctors in Iowa to try to figure out what was going on, and none of them could really give me an answer for why I was in pain. So Fast forward, missed my like entire freshman year with this injury that I couldn't play through.
Okay.
Ended up getting an appointment at the Mayo Clinic, and within 10 minutes of being there, they're like, we think it's this very small pain sensing nerve on the inner part of your elbow. We're just going to go in and essentially cauterize it and remove it from your body. So I was supposed to be one of the first 10 documented people in history to have this one nerve removed from my body.
Okay.
But when I went in there and I got on the operating board, the doctor did something that was not discussed beforehand, and he moved my ulnar nerve. So I was coming back from this ulnar nerve transposition at 15 years old, and get halfway into my sophomore year. I get 5 starts into the year, and all of a sudden I am out here in warmups. There's like this short bullpen with like a fence here on both sides. I threw 5 pitches over the left side of the fence, 4 pitches over the right, and 3 over the backstop in warmups. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a great outing. Go out there in the game. I throw 5 pitches. All 5 pitches are above and behind the batter's head that hit the backstop in the air. And my coach wasn't going to pull me, so I had to pull myself. I come out of the game, and my entire forearm is just on fire at this point. So I'm like, I seriously messed something up. Ended up getting an appointment with the Cincinnati Reds team doctor, and he told me after a bunch of different tests, he's like, yeah, looks like you tore your UCL and your ulnar nerve is being compressed by scar tissue. So we're going to go in, we're going to do TJ, and we're going to release your ulnar nerve. So missed half my sophomore year, missed all of my junior year coming back from that. And then my senior year, I was back squatting in the weight room with my brother, and I got the weight into a weird spot, and I felt it pinched again. So I had to go back to Cincinnati for the 3rd time now. They're like, yeah, it's compressed again in scar tissue. And I'm like, okay, so how are we gonna solve this issue?
Right.
And they're like, well, we actually have this really cool device that we can put in there so this doesn't happen again. And I'm like, okay, explain this to me. They're like, so it's this really small collagen sheath that we wrap around the nerve so that it can slide and glide the way that it's meant to. And I look at the doctor and I'm like, so you're telling me you have this thing that you could have put in my elbow so that this didn't happen again, and we didn't do it. Why? And the one answer I got was, it's expensive. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I was 16 years old. I'm on the operating board for the 2nd time for this nerve, and now I got to be here a 3rd time. So they put this in, and at this point, I've had 3 surgeries in 3 years. I decided that I don't want to pitch anymore. Like, I want to be able to play catch with my kid at some point in the future. Like, it's not worth it to me. So I ended up getting to play 3rd base my senior year, but at this point, I haven't hit in over 3 years.
Okay.
So luckily, Iowa high school baseball is not too good. I didn't see anything over 85, so I was actually able to do a little something, but it really wasn't what I wanted. Like, I was supposed to pitch in college at a really high Division I level, and if I couldn't do that, I didn't see a point in playing. So while that story in and of itself is crazy, throwing what my identical twin brother did on the other side of this coin is even crazier. So freshman year, as I'm out with my first injury, my brother gets invited to the PBR Futures games.
Okay.
And he ends up hitting 90 miles an hour there, starts going on different college visits. So the first visit we went on was to Virginia, the year they were coming off of winning a national title.
Okay.
So we were out there, had a good time, got to see kind of what it was like. I was like, oh, like, I'm going to be here one day too. And fast forward, he ends up committing to Mizzou, I want to say around like February, March of sophomore year. Goes through the rest of that year, does really well. Junior year comes around, ends up deciding to not play high school baseball because Iowa does it in the summer. And he goes out to Cincinnati and he plays for the Midland Redskins on their 18-year-old team. So he was playing up with all these guys going to different D1s. And that summer, he ended up making the perfect game All-American game. So he was out at Petco for the PG All-American game as I was coming back from TJ. And then he ended up early enrolling at Mizzou senior year, went in early as a freshman, got a couple of innings, ended up getting hurt, didn't do too much. Went into his sophomore year, ended up being one of the best bullpen arms out of the SEC that year. Went to the Cape, was a Cape Cod Pitcher of the Year in 2019. Came back for 2020 and was going to be the Friday night guy in the SEC for Mizzou. And then COVID hit. So they were sitting in the O'Hare airport getting ready to fly to Tuscaloosa for opening weekend, and they got stranded in the airport because COVID shut everything down. So fast forward through the rest of that season, moving into the draft, He ends up getting taken in the fourth round by the Cardinals and has now worked his way up into AAA. So there's a
So
lot there.
that is a lot. So I got to give you time to breathe. This is a, that is a kind of that's like a oxymoron wrapped together in a sandwich, supersized Big Mac. It's like that's a lot to swallow, man. Connor, ooh, I don't wish that on my enemy. I mean, I gotta ask this question because you're from Iowa, so I know about Iowa because I do some business with Iowa, and the coach over there is Rick Heller.
Hmm.
He's been there forever. I think almost 30 years.
It's been
Got
a
a good
long time.
a long time. And I know what Iowa looks like. There's not much going on. There's some talent there, but there's not a lot going on. The campus is beautiful. The field is absolutely outstanding, but you know it's cold.
Yeah,
let's
it's
just
cold. It's
let's just
cold.
let's talk about that. I mean, we're talking about what is prehab versus rehab. Do you think that? But you said you did a lot of travel ball. But at that age, you said you started early. I think you said 7 or 8 years old.
Mhm.
This is part of the prehab rehab question. But just like the second part of it, do you think that your age and the wear and tear has something to do with that?
So I think that would be a really easy way for me to kind of view it and blame that. But to be honest, I never got abused going through youth
Okay.
baseball because I was playing like my 11-year-old team had six Division One guys on it. My 12-year-old team had nine division guys on it. So I was I was throwing like semifinal championship games, like throwing the highest leverage game that we had. And it was kind of my game to go get, but it wasn't like they were bringing me out in pool play for 3 innings and then
Yeah.
another five in bracket. So I never really got this big wear and tear. I think what happened for me was I went into high school and I was trying to put on weight and was in the weight room for the first time, then had some bad mechanical flaws because I was trying to throw through pain. And then coming back from that first surgery, I just never regained the perception of where my arm was in space. So I just kept having these bad mechanical flaws, kept putting more stress on my elbow, and I never really corrected what I now know is the true root cause of why that was happening. I was more just going through the traditional PT cycle of, hey, you had this surgery. These are the exercises that we do to rehab these specific injuries. Go do them. And I went
Okay.
out and I executed that plan, but that plan didn't work for me. And
Okay.
I never ultimately found anything in time that allowed me to regain that.
Mm. Okay. So you said something else. You said bad rehab and bad mechanical flaws. So for people to understand it, I'm gonna just break it down really small because I'm a certified personal trainer. So I train and I know a little bit about the body. You got to have great form and great technique, and you have to know your body because if you put too much weight on anything, it's gonna tear. That's just it. Doesn't matter how old you are, if because muscles are made to build, not I mean they tear up to build up. They tear
Mhm.
up to build up, but when you're at a certain age, I mean, I don't think kids should be lifting weights when they're 7, 8 years old. And I've seen it 9, 10, 11. I don't think you should be lifting weights. That's just my professional opinion. Do not lift weights. But I've seen kids on videos. I'm like, why is he lifting weights at that age? Why is he? It's just you can
And
do
with awful
bands,
form, too. With
yeah.
awful form.
And then you're going by your dad that no disrespect, your dad that was a bodybuilder versus trying to build little muscles to build up, tear them up. But that's for another show, another series. So let's get into this one, the top question. What is prehab versus rehab?
So prehab for me is really more about taking accountability and responsibility for your own health. So if you are currently healthy, a lot of us just float through life and we're like, oh, life's great. Like, I don't have any health issues. And then you get faced with one and now you're like, oh, I have to rehab it. Versus if you would have just put in a little bit of work beforehand to maintain the spot that you're in, you're going to be so much better set up to move down the road.
Okay.
So I think of prehab as I'm already in a really good spot. How do I maintain this to slightly improve it? I don't need to
Mm,
go and start doing a bunch of stuff to try to become Mike Trout. Like, that's not what I'm saying to do.
right, right,
But
right.
like, if you're a guy that's shown up to the field and you just show and go, you are going to get hurt at some point in your career.
Mm,
Like, that you have to do something to get your body ready to go.
Okay.
And this is the really only thing that I found that allowed me to feel like I was actually ready, able to go at that point.
Okay. So you said something when you brought up his name. I caught what you said. You said Mike Trout. Listen to this. So I know that Mr. Mike Trout, he's one of my favorite players. He's not my all-time favorite, but he's one of my favorite because he plays on a team that I like. I just like the name. I love the name Angels. You know, I guess that has a lot to do with me being a believer in God, so I like Angels. So Mike Trout has had multiple surgeries, multiple. I mean, he can't hold a half a season without getting hurt. I don't know all the dynamics, and I want to kind of let you elaborate a little bit based on the wear and tear of the body. There's one thing that you didn't say, but I know you're going to say is the lack of sleep and nutrition, which
Hmm.
that has a lot to do with it. It's like driving a Maserati and you're putting regular gas in it, and it's like putting okay, so you drive a Maserati and you putting regular gas when it says premium octane, and then it's like you said, they say go get your filter. You're a mechanic and you fix your own filter. It's an oil change, and you put the cheapest filter on there. It fits, but it's not the right filter because there's so many miles that you put on uh, a Maserati. So which that leads me to Mike Trout. He's had surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery. Um, I don't know all his details, but you probably know a little bit about it. My question to you is, how can we prevent the mm, rehab that has been happening constantly for Mr. Mike Trout, and so our listeners can understand and get an understanding, like you just said, prehab versus rehab. So
Absolutely.
go ahead.
So for me, I think one of the biggest misconceptions in sports is that professional athletes have good posture and like overall good function of their body. But professional athletes are the most dysfunctional, messed up people on the planet. They can get their body to do things that it really shouldn't physically be able to do. And that allows them to reach these really high elite levels within sport. But it's also the same thing that contributes to their body ultimately breaking down on them and what ultimately ends their career. So with that, like as we go through different movement patterns, like in particularly these rotational patterns that are within baseball, right, is our body begins to adapt or build up these imbalances. So, like something so simple that was never said to me is muscles move bones. So, as muscles move bones and they start to adapt, is they pull on the bone and change the alignment or the structure that we have. So in
Mm,
turn, that's going to change how these muscles are actually able to recruit and get us to move, which is then going to cause our body to compensate as some one muscle can't take on its designed job. Another muscle has to come in to do that.
I
And
got you.
now there's this domino effect down the rest of our body from these compensation patterns. And the compensations are what is offloading stress to these areas that ultimately become injured.
Mm,
But if we can get the body into a better alignment or position so these muscles can actually do what they're meant to, then those same compensation patterns don't happen on the back end and we put less stress on the entire overall system that is your body.
I got you. That's the uh, encyclopedia version. I like that. That's a very good. I like it. I just like okay. For I caught what you said. I understand exactly what you're saying. Basically, I'm gonna break it down what Connor just broke down. This is episode 103. You don't want to miss this. This is a very intense episode. It talks about the body, talk about the breaking down. We talk about posture, alignment, and things that make your body do what it does, and things that it shouldn't be doing that it does. So this is the episode. If you've been rehabbing or prehabbing, this is the episode you want to listen to today, because going back to Mike Trout, I'm using him as an example because he's had multiple knee surgeries, and I'm reading his little problem he's had so far. And the reason I put up Mike Trout because he's a superstar. He's a superstar. He was one of the highest paid outfielders back several years ago. He signed that lucrative $100 million+ contract, and I could be wrong, and I beg to differ, but I could be wrong. He's had a bone bruise in his left knee. He also had a knee surgery, I think the same knee, and underwent surgery. I think I could be wrong, but you go ahead and elaborate. When he works for the MLB, it's a job. So they're paying him. He's already paid. He's getting paid in his contract. So I think because he used to play center field, Connor. Now he plays right field. So I guess they try to pull down. Well, I think he should have been playing right field a little bit earlier,
I would agree with that.
because now the damage, like you said earlier, the damage is already done. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's still a superstar, but I think it's a little late in the game. He still can, personally, I just think he should be a DH for a while. That's just my opinion, to prevent some things. But they got their lineup, and I get it because I coach baseball. I understand that, but it says his progress is process through rehab, but he's still not ready. Um, what do you think are some things for a person that might have a situation like Mike Trout, um, to get prepared?
Yeah, so I think a lot of when we look at knee injuries, at least in traditional rehab, is we look at the area of where that pain or limitation is actually occurring. So when we do that, we're essentially putting a magnifying glass over the issue and becoming like very specific in what we're looking at with different images, whether it's like ultrasound, MRI, you name it. Like we're looking at the area that is hurt. But there's other things within your body that contribute to this because your body is a kinetic chain. Everything's connected to one another. So something like a misalignment or inefficiency that's happening at your ankle or at your hip is going to impact what's happening at your knee. So when we're talking about rehab, like, yeah, we got to strengthen the area around the injury. I'm not saying not to do that, but there's other things within your body that are going to contribute to that. So baseball players have very similar body types and posture just because of like your environment creates your posture. So if we have similar training methods, similar movement patterns that we're doing repeatedly, your body's going to build up similar imbalances. And as we do that, like guys are just biased to certain sort of injuries, and you see more knee injuries with like within football and basketball because of the cutting nature of it. But it's coming from the knee can't stabilize itself because of other things that are going on around it, and that's just where the wear and tear is going.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the things that meniscus, because I know that I've had that problem several times in the same knee that I hurt years ago, like when I was 14, and never rehabbed it when I was 14. Never rehabbed it. Just didn't rehab it. Just lack of doing something stupid. Just didn't do it. And also lack of finances as well. But I'm looking at Mike Trout's previous injury. He had a torn meniscus in the same knee in 2023. It goes back to what you said, going back to the beginning where the first problem came at, and they might have came back a little too early. I don't know the pressure, what they putting on him. They were losing. They need to get him in the game. The same thing with Little League, youth baseball. It's the same thing with your situation. You want to go out there and play, and sometimes you let your feelings take over the reality. Let's put it that way. The feelings take over Am I right or wrong? the
That's
feelings
absolutely
start.
right.
The feelings take over, and so I was one that hurt my knee a couple years ago, and it goes back to what you said. One thing happens and it starts from here, it goes down here. It's a chain reaction, and so my meniscus was torn. I did it from lifting weights, putting too much weight too fast. Even though I'm a personal trainer, it doesn't matter. I was pushing myself, but my knee wasn't wrapped for that much weight. I didn't wrap it like I should have. So anyway, now that I lift weights, especially lower body, I always have a brace. It doesn't matter. And if I'm going to lift anything, I don't lift anything heavy at all. Which goes back to the next question I want to ask you is, so how do you prepare yourself, prepare or prehab for the next level of high level of baseball, of amateurism? If you come in, just say you're a senior from high school, or junior, senior, and you've had a couple injuries. Now you signed with the University of Missouri. You signed with Missouri. You had a surgery. Let's talk about the younger Connor, and you got this opportunity. So how do you prepare when you've had a couple injuries in your throwing arm? And just say that you don't have to be a pitcher. I'm not going to take. I'm going to take out pitchers. Let's just take out pitchers. What do you do to prepare for the next level of amateurism if you had previous injuries?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest thing is number one, accepting responsibility that you are the reason that you're in the situation that you're in. You can't be blaming other people.
Wow.
Because as I went through it, I was trying to blame my pitching coach. I was trying to blame the weight trainer. I was trying to blame the surgeons and the rehab guys for not being in the spot that I needed to be in. And
Mm.
not taking that responsibility really never allowed me to move on from it. And until I got out of my playing career and I look back at it and went, shit, that's something that I should have done. So, number one, take responsibility and understand that you're in this situation for a reason, but you also have the responsibility and the ability to change the situation that you're in as well. So, I think the biggest thing to understand is no matter what injuries or things that you have right now is your body is very adaptable, is it's going to figure out a way to get the movement to happen one way or another, no matter how bad you compensate. But if we can get your body to be just 5% less inefficient than what it is right now, that is going to drastically change how you're able to move, the velo that you possess, whether it's exit velo or throwing velo, as well as the stress that you're placing on your body. So, like this is while most of the time when we talk about posture, we're just thinking about health, but there is a performative added to this.
Okay.
Because if your body's moving more efficiently or you're getting into better positions, then all of a sudden these things that you're trying to do become that much easier.
Okay. That's good. But you said two words: accountability and responsibility. Now, that's a foreign word to today's generation. I want to say it again.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
That's a foreign word, accountability and responsibility, because the first thing they're going to do is blame, well, I went out there because my coach told me. I went out there because my mom told me to go out there. I went out there because, even though you're the one going through the pain, there comes a point, and I'm going to use this for an example, and you can back me up. I'm a coach, and I'm telling you, turn it. I'm turning. I got the wheels rolling. I'm on third base. I'm telling you, come on and come on. But you see the ball better because you know this guy or whatever. It can be a friend or whatever. And I tell you to come on, and you stop. And I'm gonna be like, well, why did you stop? And he says, well, coach, da 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 da. I just couldn't do it. But you just saved yourself because now you're safe instead of out. And there comes a point as a coach, you got to know when to say no, when to say, hey, coach, I just can't do it. And we could talk about that later in the game or whenever we get together. Because a lot of times I think that we put ourselves under pressure, like you just said, accountability and responsibility. But you know your own body. There's a difference between being pushed and being pulled. I can push you, but when you're pulling is going against, you're resisting. You're at a limit. Your arm is really, really on fire and about to fall off, and you're telling me you can pitch two more pitches. That two pitches can kill you. It can mess your whole career up. And I'm saying that because a lot of players it's a difference between being pushed and being pulled. Am I right?
I would
No.
say, yeah, absolutely. And whether you're being pulled from a bunch of different places, your coaching staff, your own mental, your friends on the team, or even more so your parents. Like if people are wanting you to be out there and they're spending the money to take you to these tournaments or these showcases, like
Right.
there's a lot of inherent pressure on you to go out there and perform. And even if you're not at 100%, you're still going to go try and do it. But that's where the injury happens is from you trying to overexert and be almost play hero ball in more of a selfish manner of like, I think I can do this, but is this really what's best for me or the team?
I like that. You said another code word. Hero ball. Now let's talk about that because I'm listening. I got this under control. I'm watching what you said. Hero ball. For the people that don't know what hero ball is, we're gonna break that down. Let me give an example because you talked about this. You said travel ball. We know that everyone is listening or listening to this podcast today. It's episode 103. We got Connor Bedell on the show, the posture alignment specialist. Also, he has experience. His brother's a twin brother as well. Had opportunity to go play Mizzou, but he had to shorten his career due to some prehabbing versus rehabbing. He didn't know that he knows now. So this episode is a little exclusive today. So my question to you is this: okay, would you rather go to a showcase that you're healed, and healthy, versus you're being pulled from every place you can possibly pull, and you know you're tired. Let's just call it what it is. You're tired. you went to 5 showcases in a month, because people do that.
Hmm.
Five, five. I don't care what position you play, you're still wearing and tearing, because your body's not accustomed to that. You're not, and also you're not mentally built for that yet. You're trying to get there, but you're not there yet. Would you rather go do a hero ball, in other words, prove to everyone you can do this because you feel that you're being pulled, and instead of being pulled, being pushed to save yourself for maybe 2 good showcases versus 5 showcases, because you're playing hero ball. So let's talk about the hero ball, the two
Yeah.
showcases versus the 5 showcases.
So, I mean, I my career got ended before really all like these PG showcases pop up for when you're in high school. So I didn't necessarily get the chance to go do those things, but I think there's a lot of clout in being on that top 100 board, and that I think that comes down to a lot of it, whether it's PBR, PG, it doesn't matter. Like if you are ranked as one of the top guys in the state, like that inflates your self worth and your ego, and you're like, I either got to go get that spot or I got to hold the spot that I have.
Right.
And the way that you do that is you pay these companies a lot of money to show up and do their showcases. But if I'm just going out there to rip 10 fastballs in front of a couple of D1s, like is that going to do the same thing for me as if I would have spent that time actually developing to get better so that when I go to those 2 showcases, I put out a better product rather than just trying to say, hey, I'm consistently across the board at this one metric. Like I could prove to you I can do it consistently. But if I could go 89 at a showcase
Right.
in early August and then take a couple of weeks of development and then show back up in September and hit 91, that does a lot more for me than just going 89, 89, 84 because now I'm tired, 88, 83. Like
Right.
the consistency across this board is like you got to ask yourself what's the important thing? Why am I doing these showcases in the first place? Am I
Right.
doing this because I want to do it? Am I doing it to get scouted? Am I doing it to appease people? Like what's the motivation behind why you're doing this? Because you don't need to be at every PG event to get a Division One offer. There are guys that don't go to a single one of those showcases that end up getting Division One offers, but yet you're at every single one of them because you think that's what I have to do because that's what baseball culture has ingrained you to believe.
Wow, that's a nugget. That's drop the mic. Boom, boom. You dropped the bomb. You said so much. It was so good. I love it. Connor, I gotta give you an A+ on that one because you said something else. You talked about development. Woo, that is like a foreign word in today's society, because development means you got to have a foundation. You got to understand the X's. Besides the X's and O's, what do you do when you don't know what to do, and stuff like that? And what do you do when there's a situation? A lot of kids don't. They have the power. People love talking about power, but they don't have the developmental. And that's not just in the game, but that's up here. And then if you up here, and you got the skills, you know how to develop your body to prevent having injuries. And going back to what you said about going to 5 showcases versus 2 showcases. I personally think this is, and you can elaborate on this. I personally think I'd rather for me to save my body, get well rested, eat right, do some weight training as well, stretch, rest and eat, get mentally locked in on those 2 showcases. Just 2, not 6, not 10, just 2, because you're reserving your body to do what it's designed to do. Because you cannot master many things, you can only master one thing at a time. But the problem is this, going back to pressure, accountability, responsibility, hero ball. I'm writing all these notes here. Uh, and you talked about your brother earlier about playing up. He played up. So basically, there comes a time you have to know what you can do.
Hmm.
That's just the bottom line. I can't do what Connor can do, and Connor can't do what I can do because God didn't make us that way. We're just different. God made you to do this, and I made you to do this. And if you learn to appreciate your gift and understand your body, I think you can go a long way. And so, which that brings me to that next question is, you know, can you elaborate on opportunities? We talked about 5 showcases. But the problem is this: I think people get I don't know how to call it, Connor. They get so excited of so many showcases, and they try to hit everyone and just pray that they get in one instead of maximizing an opportunity on one. So because you can only play at one school, but then they say, well, I want to go to this one, this one, this one, this one. And then they wasted all this money, all this time, wore your body out. You're emotionally a wreck. Because I mean, every time you see a showcase, you're at the. I mean, because I used to go to showcases and see some players, and then every time I go to a showcase, I see the same players. I'm like, wasn't you at that last showcase last month? And was you at the one before that? Yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's like overdosing on stupid pills. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. People says, well, I'm hungry. Yeah, they're hungry, but you're not being. Other words, you're not going back to that Maserati again. Go back to the Maserati. You're driving, but you're putting the wrong gas in the body. So, talk
That or you're
about.
redlining it constantly. Like you're just foot on the gas, full acceleration with no time to actually breathe and take it off.
Yeah, so, talk about resting, which helps you prepare for that next level. Let's talk about rest and talk about the proper nutrition for the body, because that has something to do with it as well. So, can you elaborate on that?
So I think I've got a weird analogy for you, and I'm only saying this because like I really enjoy watching MMA, but like I kind of think about it as like a fight camp, right? Is we're going to peak at a certain time, and we need
Okay.
to peak here. So we're on this constant progression up. Fight night, we peak, and then we rest, we go back down, and it's just constant ebb and flow, right?
Okay.
But if I've got showcase, 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 I'm trying to peak and then plateau, peak again, plateau, and you're not giving your body enough time to recover from what it is that you're asking it to do. So, as far as like the recovery and the nutrition, absolutely is if you like going back to a car and the gas analogy is if I'm going to put non-premium gas into this Maserati, I'm going to get non-premium results out of that Maserati and I'm going to break it down, right?
I'm
So
sorry I had to
I've
laugh.
got to
Go ahead.
put the proper things into it, whether it's the nutrition, whether it's the weight training that you're doing, whether it's the weighted balls or the prep routine that you have, or more importantly, the post recovery routine that you have to get your body into these positions, whether it's functionally from improving your posture, whether it's,
Right.
hey, I need my 8 hours of sleep, I need to drink certain amount of water, I need
Water.
this amount of protein. Because if you're not building your system up, at worst you're maintaining it and you're more likely breaking it down.
Right. 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 And it goes back to what you just. I just thought about another guy. I'm not a fan of him, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. LeBron James. He's 40 years old. It's going back to what we're talking about. We got the specialist on here, the posture alignment specialist, Connor Bedell on here, episode 103. So we're talking about the recovery now, the recovery and nutrition. And I just thought about LeBron James, how, you know, I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm talking about him as an athlete, so people don't get it twisted. He's 40 years old, 40 plus. Let's put it that way, 40 plus, still playing basketball. But I think it goes back to what you said: is the recovery. He surround. People say, "Well, he's rich." No, 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 no. He wasn't always like he is today. He's always had the skills, but he didn't have the nutrition that he had in the beginning. I can guarantee you that. Coming from Akron, Ohio, the guy didn't have it all. He had the talent, but he had things working for his good. And the reason he's playing so long is because he eats right. He don't eat McDonald's. I can guarantee you that. He don't eat Burger King. He don't eat Wendy's. I can guarantee you that. And you can, Connor's laughing, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
On top of that, he has the proper rest. And also, I guarantee he surrounds himself around the right people for his psyche, for his mental. And also, I believe that he knows his body. That's something that we got to teach these young men and girls how to understand that. Well, you may not have all the money to do such and such, but I guarantee you that that little money you spent on that that video game, or I'm just, these little things add up. And
Mhm.
people says, "When I'm young, I can eat what I want." Goes back to what you said earlier, Connor. You put garbage in, you get garbage out. That's just the bottom line. So, I just had to throw that out there because he's 40 years old, still playing basketball today. So, what can you pull from LeBron's longevity that you can tell some of these listeners about their body and posture and eating?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think to first kind of take that back to like the money or the cost issue, right? Is like ask yourself, what am I spending money on daily? Like you can find great training out there for literally less than the cost of the Chipotle bowl that you buy every single day. So we were talking before we started recording about like what's the priority? Does this matter to me? And if it doesn't matter, you're not going to do it. Whether you think you have the resources, you don't have it, or you actually do have those resources. It's
Mm-hmm.
how you allot them and how you think about them and how you want to use your time and your money for your development. If you want to go out and blow your money on going to the bar or hanging out with your friends and just doing things that aren't pushing you forward, then
Mm-hmm.
that's how you're choosing to spend your time and your resources. But you can't say that you don't have the resources to get the things that you want. You're just not allotting them appropriately.
Mm, that's
But
good.
to go to LeBron is he has done so many things with it. Like he spends over $1 million a year on his upkeep. Now people say like he has the money to do that. Yeah, but a lot of these professional athletes have that same level of money to be able to put into their body, but they don't spend it because it's
Ooh,
not the same level of importance to them, right?
wow.
So like LeBron, he's got, I mean, the world class trainers, world class chefs, like this, that, the other, but he has never really had a major injury. And I think you've got
Right.
to look at that and go, what is this guy doing to
Doing.
be able to be a perennial all-star for 18 plus years? Like, yes, he's a physical freak and a specimen that is once in a generation, but
Correct.
he's also doing every little thing just like Tom Brady did to keep himself on the field past 40 years old.
Wow. That's it. That's another drop the mic. Boop. He just dropped the mic again, guys. That's another one. Carter, you that's another A plus because you know, we chase the dream, but we don't know what the cost is. I'm gonna repeat that again. We chase the dream, but we don't understand what the cost is because to be a Hall of Famer, I don't like saying the GOAT. I don't like that. I don't like that. I just don't like that word because when I think of the greatest of all time, I think of the Mecca. I think of God Himself because the greatest of all time. He's the creator of all. That's just me, and I think that there's generations. You have different people that are standout all time best in different generations. So there's not really a GOAT. That's just my opinion.
I would agree with
Period.
that.
Because everybody says, well, he's the GOAT. Well, I understand he has longevity, but we're not gonna go into who won the trophies. I don't care about that, but I do admire Mr. LeBron James, his longevity, his tenacity, his fire for himself, so he can be an elite, standalone, all time basketball icon due to the fact he takes care of his body. I'm not talking about his accolades and all the things accomplished. I'm talking about just that itself tells you that if LeBron James can do it or Tom Brady can do it, or here's another guy that people don't talk about is Cal Ripken Jr.
Yep.
He played forever as well. Nobody talked about him. Cal Ripken Jr. played a long with no injuries. I mean, there's a difference between being hurt and injured, and people don't understand that. He's been hurt. Now LeBron has been hurt. Tom Brady has been hurt, but he hasn't been injured. And it goes back to our very first question: what is prehab versus rehab? And if you missed that, go back and rewind this this podcast. Go back to the beginning. This is powerful within itself because now it helps those new boys and girls are going to the next level to understand why are their body breaking down so much or why is this happening. And it goes back when we talked about lifting weights, proper training, proper form, technique. The
Hmm.
body does that as well. Let's talk about one other thing. We didn't talk about. Rehab and an arm. We talked about the knee. We talked about Mike Trout a little bit. We just talked about LeBron James as far as his longevity, and thank God, praise God at LeBron and Tom Brady and Cal Ripken. So let's talk about the arm as a baseball player. How can we prevent some things from happening? You have experience and you have expertise. You've worked with several guys in the minor league. Looking at your bio, worked with several guys in college trying to get to that next level. How can we prevent or work on a hurting arm?
Yeah, so I think we've got to change kind of how we view the problem, right?
Okay,
So for me, as I was going through all of my elbow injuries, is I always thought that it was an elbow problem because that's just where everybody put their focus on.
correct.
But the thing that was like, so when I first found posture therapy, I tried 3 exercises and I stood up and I threw a baseball pain free for the first time in 6 years after doing something that took me 5 minutes to do. and I didn't do a single thing with my elbow or my arm. And I
Okay.
was like, it was only hip work. And I was like, why did doing something at my hip
Right.
change everything that happened at my elbow or my shoulder?
Right.
So the way that this guy explained it to me is just beyond simple. And honestly, it really pissed me off when he told me because I was like, it's that easy. Is inputs and outputs.
Okay.
Is the body that you take onto the field, or the alignment that you have that you take onto the field is the input. The pain or the movement limitation that you experience on the field is the output.
Okay.
But if we change the input or the alignment that you have, we change the output of what happens because those same compensation patterns that we were talking about don't happen. So when we're looking at an elbow or a shoulder injury, is again, it comes back to this responsibility. Is you've got to understand it's not just an elbow or shoulder problem. And if
Uh-huh.
those are the only areas that you're focusing on, you're missing the rest of the 90% of the equation that's contributing to it. And
Okay.
that really is what has to be solved, is these other inefficiencies and positions within your body that are contributing to the compensations that are causing the pain at those areas.
Oh, I got it. I got you. So now I'm gonna use me for example. I have had I don't want to say chronic, but let's just say repeat. Not every day, but repeat back issues, which also I know from going to my chiropractor. He's told me, um, he asked me questions: how do I sleep? He asked me, how do you stand? And every time I go to a chiropractor, I feel better. Always. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't believe. I don't. I didn't like going, but I go. But I also realize that now that I'm more conscious, it's the way I walk because I lean a little
Mhm.
bit, and then I have to tell myself, put your shoulders up. That's why I'm always telling myself, put your shoulders up and make it become a lifestyle. Because it's not. It's just normally we just sit, but then I have to tell myself, it does affect my back, which affects my neck.
Mhm.
So I noticed my neck, when my back hurts, my neck hurts first, and then it goes down all the way down there. And I started thinking about that. So what you're saying, Connor, is on point because a lot of times we think about it's just our back. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. So now I'm getting a little bit older, a little wiser, and I start thinking, as a man thinketh, so is he. So I think about this situation. I just start thinking, because if you're going through the, if you keep hitting the same problem over and over and over and doing the same thing, it's called stupid. It's
Or
just called
insanity.
stupid. Insanity is stupid. I call it stupid. People have like, Coach Laurie said stupid. Yes, stupid. And I'm talking about myself. We have stupid moments. Doesn't mean that you are stupid. You have stupid moments. We all do. We're human. It happens. But you have to correct it. So I've learned now when I'm sleeping, I have to sleep with my a little tilt because my back has been damaged due to some improper things I've done over the years. You hear what I'm saying? And I
Mhm.
realized that, yeah, I got older, but after hitting the wall, so man, taking a stupid pill and keep taking stupid pills, I gotta say, wait a minute, I'm not a drug addict. I'm stupid. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong to correct the problem. I'm just telling you, and I'm putting myself out there because people says, well, just call it what it is. You're making some stupid mistakes. Doesn't mean you are stupid. So what I'm trying to say is, you go see experts to figure out what the problem is. Is there something else? Because he told me some other things about my knee and my back and my neck, and it all lines together. Going back to what you said, everything lines together. It's like a what do you call it? Assembly line.
Mhm.
It's an assembly line. You work head, neck, shoulders, chest, um, core, stomach, hips. I believe it all works together, and I think the problem is most people, they don't want to be accountable. I'm reading my notes. Responsible, and they don't want to deal with the recovery stage because we want the microwave. We want it done now. Listen, Connor, I don't have time. Listen, I've got the University of Mizzou coming next week. So if a kid is going through some situations and he's hurt, what would you suggest him to do? Since you've had this opportunity, it happened to you. What would you do differently if you had that opportunity and Mizzou came to you again? Now the stuff you know now, how would you approach it?
Yeah. So I would have done differently just off the rip is I would have tried to avoid the first surgery in the first place.
Oh,
So I never found like a real answer for what was going on, and I never found posture therapy until I was in college and I was done playing baseball and I kind of just stumbled into it. But I and part of this is an emotional crutch for myself, but like I
Yeah.
tell myself if I had posture when I was 15 years old going through this first injury, that my career would have looked entirely different. And I think playing at Division One would have been a very likely thing for me. I'm not going to say like I would have gotten
Right.
to the pros because that's a whole nother thing, but like just the ability to have the opportunity, I think would have been there for me. So I think just really trying to retrain my body because even after I came out of the first surgery, like I was terrified of the weight room. Like I didn't get back in the weight room because I didn't want to put myself in a compromising position. So now I went from what was it like 150 as a freshman, and after that first surgery walking into sophomore season, I think I was 205. Like I was fat, out of shape, not moving well, not eating super well, putting bad patterns on this, and then finding another injury,
Right.
not rehabbing that appropriately,
Correct.
gaining
Correct.
more weight, and just like this constant
Chain
cycle, right?
reaction.
Is just I didn't what I wish I would have had was what I know now. And that's like so to I don't really have a great answer for you outside of like that entire situation and what I dealt with is like the main driver for what I'm doing now to try to help other people avoid that situation entirely by giving them the information that I didn't possess at that time.
Okay, that's good. That's a good answer. That's a really good answer because you gave the best analogy based on your previous experience. Now, I respect that highly, which leads me to I got a couple more questions. This is the next question. So, what would you tell a guy that's trying to go D1? You know, that's the word. We got to use that word because everyone wants to go D1. Everybody that can hit a wiffle ball is going D1. You know, I'm just telling you like it is. I've heard so many stories. Anyway, I don't want to get on a tangent. So, what would you tell a guy or a girl that's trying to go D1? What are three things you'll tell them that they need to prepare for if they want to get that D1 offer?
Yeah, so number one is like a mindset and a mentality. So I think the way that I walked out onto the field was always, I called it a bulldog mentality of like, F you, I'm better than you. You're not going to beat me. And even if you do beat me, you're not going to do it again. So I think just having this competitive mindset and a slight amount of arrogance, and I don't mean cockiness to the point where it's off putting, I mean just self belief in, hey, I can go do this at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to show me that I can because I know I can.
Okay.
Number two would be surrounding yourself with the right people and friend groups. Is you people will drag you down. Who you surround yourself is who you are. So if you want to achieve high level things in your life, you got to surround yourself with high level people that want the same things as you. And then number three would be if you say you want something, you got to be willing to pay the price of admission to get it. So for me, that comes down to the training methods that I'm using. Am I working with a strength and conditioning coordinator? Am I working with somebody to help me get my body and my nutrition right? Or am I just walking through this journey aimlessly, hoping that my high school or my travel coach is putting me in all the right positions to get noticed to get the things that I want? Is you have so much more control over what happens to you and where you end up in life than what you currently think that you do. But it's all about the choices that you make, the way that you think, and the people that you surround yourself with.
Wow. Okay, that was awesome. Because which leads me to a commercial break. This is YGP sponsors is if you're trying to be a D1 player, if you're uncommitted and you feel like no one's looking at you, guess what? Coach Laurie has something coming out September 30th. Are you really D1? That's the book coming out. Are you really D1? That's the name of the title. Hey, check out YouTube. It's YouGoin'Pro. Also check out my Instagram, YouGoin'Pro Sports, and the link will be given to you. But I have something else for you guys. I have a free downloadable 5 pages for free, no strings attached. You can get a downloadable, little, easy, quick read. Something's coming out September 30th. But now, if you text me now, DM me now on Instagram as YouGoin'Pro Sports, or go to YouTube, YouGoin'Pro, and DM me, and I'll give you the link. Thank you, thank you. So, you said three things: mindset, and I'm paraphrasing it, bulldog mentality. Second one was surroundings, association. I call it association, your association. And the third thing was pay the price. And people say, what do you mean by pay the price? That means basically your choices. Your choices. And when we're talking about choices, we're talking about nutrition, uh, prehab versus rehab. What makes you different from the next guy out there? Because a lot of times people that are playing college baseball, I'm sorry, high school baseball, they think that just because they have been the greatest guy in high school, they think they're going to be that way when they go to University of Mizzou. They really believe that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens is you get a really reality check really quick. That's why it's called D1. That's why it's called D1 because there's D1 playing in this spot. So you're going to have 30 people on fall baseball. 30. It's going to be at least 30, 28, 27, whatever. Because he's going to bring that many in because somebody's not going to make it. Somebody's going to fall off. If this happens, I'm telling you this because I played college baseball and I know how it is. You're going to be looking around, your eyes going to be looking like headlights. You're going to like a deer in headlights. You're going to be like, what is going on here? Am I in the right place? Yes, that's part of college baseball. Baseball is different from basketball, for sure. We know that. But that's a couple tips that he gave you: the mindset, bulldog mentality, so associations, and also paying the price. And like I said before, go ahead and get a copy of my new book coming out September 30th. You get a free download. If you really want to get it, free download, free 5 chapters. I mean, come on, Connor, free? It's easy. Just go get it.
Sounds like
Just get it. It's easy. It's simple. But thanks, man. I appreciate that. I got a couple more questions with Lock Loud. I appreciate it. We were almost at the hour pack. Question for you is this: who is your 4 Mount Everest players of all time and why?
Oh, that's tough. Are we going pitchers or just anybody to play?
Anybody you want to play. You can throw a 5 one, alternate, honorable mention.
So,
And why? And tell me why.
I mean, I never got to see the guy play growing up, but I was always number 34 because of Nolan Ryan. So I gotta have Nolan Ryan on there.
Nolan Ryan.
I think as much as I hate to be this guy, you got to throw Shohei on there just because what he's doing is absolutely unreal and freakish.
Okay. So you got 2 so far.
2. Let's see. I mean, how do you not throw Barry Bonds on there regardless of the steroids? I mean, you still got to put the bat on the ball. I don't care what's in your veins on that. Like
that's right.
The bat to ball skills that guy possesses is just unworldly.
That's it. I agree because I'm a Barry Bonds fanatic. So you already, and I love Nolan Ryan. So you did good. You got 2. I'm 2 for 3 now. You're doing good.
Let's see. If I had to go a 4th,
who was you gonna put? Who are you gonna pick?
Dude, that's tough. That's tough. I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna throw Randy Johnson up there.
Wow.
So, and my honorable mention, and hit respectfully to the man because he's done absolutely nothing to deserve this comment. My favorite player growing up was David Price, so I got to put him up there. But he's not on that same echelon. Mount Rushmore.
Right. But you got David Price. He kind of fell through. He was doing good for a streak, and he just kind of deteriorated.
Yeah.
I loved David Price. He was the guy, lefty, pitcher. He was good, nice guy, and he just fell off out of nowhere. Connor,
I know. I mean, what he went from when he was in Tampa, it was just unworldly, and that he's the reason that I'm a Rays fan.
Okay.
And then going Detroit, Boston, and then out to LA was really kind of where it fell off once he got to the Dodgers.
Yeah, because the Dodgers, they're gonna use you. They're gonna get every drop out of you. They're gonna milk you because that's what they do. That they bring out the best. But I think his time was up at that time. He was wore out because he's been through so much. Going back to prehab versus rehab. I'm not saying he didn't do it. Not saying he didn't, but sometimes I think the body is overused. That's just my opinion. That's just in general, just being a certified personal trainer and training people. I think the body needs more rest. And also remember, he's been playing baseball for years. And I know they use him a lot in Boston. He was the Boston and Tampa. He was throwing a lot of pitches.
I mean, even when he was at Vandy, I don't know his exact.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Off the top of my head, but
right.
I mean, you got to think about what did I do in high school? What did I do in college? What did I do in the minors? All of this wear and tear before you even actually make it to where people give a crap about what you're doing.
Correct. That's right. You just brought us up. He played at Vandy because I remember when I was living in Nashville, he was I just remember that. Yeah, he did play at Vandy, but that's where Mookie's from Vandy as well. I mean, from that area, from Nashville, and he's a specimen. He's probably 5'6", 5'7". The little guy's like a little rabbit, little rabbit on wheels. He can just play. I know we're on a tangent, but you said you're a Tampa Bay Rays fan. So, what do you think your boys are going to do this year? I
Uh,
mean, I like the Rays. I mean, I'm not gonna. It's a Florida team, but I'm gonna share with you. I think that I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that because I'm here in Miami. I'm not going to say that, but I think the Rays are 1,000% better than the Marlins. That's just my opinion. I think also they do things better. They don't have a lot of big budget, but they know how to get the best out of their players. It has been proven after proven after proven. They do need a new stadium. Hopefully that's going pretty well. But what do you think the future is? They got that one guy that can run, Connor, the
Kenley
black.
Simpson,
That guy. Whew.
a speed demon out
He
there.
reminds me of Pete Rose that can play with more talent. Like he's just he has that tenacity. He's like going back to what you said. He has that bulldog mentality. He's like, listen, I'm in the show and I'm going to make sure I stay in the show. So
Hmm.
what do you think the future for Tampa Bay?
Well, I'm not high on this year. I think they're 100% out of the playoff picture for this year. So looking for next year, I mean, being an overzealous guy, I'm expecting a minimum a wild card.
Yeah,
Like the pitching that they got on that roster for next year is just unreal.
yeah,
If it stays healthy, right? I mean, look at McClanahan coming back. He has, I mean, I'm not even going to say his name. Number 5 has played a game more recently for the Rays than Shane
right,
McClanahan has.
right.
So if they can get healthy, I mean, they've got all the talent in the world. I mean, you got Junior Camarero over at third. You got Yadi Diaz, an all-star. Brandon Lau, an all-star across that infield. I mean, there's a lot to really like about what the Rays do, and I'm
Yeah,
really interested to see if the new ownership group is actually going to be willing to open up their pockets. Because if they are willing to actually pay some guys that they constantly trade away, like Randy Arozarena, look at what he's doing this year in Seattle. Imagine if that
right,
was still on this roster for the Rays. This season looks entirely different than having to run out. I mean, I'm not going to like take shots at guys, but like Josh
right,
Lowe, who's not
right.
not necessarily having the greatest year that you were hoping for.
Yeah,
Luca just finally came back healthy, so like there's some really bright spots for what I think they're going to be able to do.
yeah.
Just health is the name of the game, and I really hope they finally open up their pocketbooks at least a little bit more.
I like what you said. Health is the name of the game. I want to use that one. Health is the name of the game. People says, well, you know, I like that because if you don't have a body, you can't play.
Hmm.
You can't play. I don't care who you
You got
are.
to
You
be
can't.
available.
You got to be available. I got one more question before we close out, man. It's been great having you on. You give quite a few great nuggets of truth, wisdom, and knowledge and understanding. I believe in having wisdom in everything you do. I think that, as you said, also you talked about association, the power of association. I know that because when you connect with people, you learn something about other things you didn't know about, and it helps each other, And I really appreciate that coming out. I know we didn't come to talk about your brother, but I'm gonna close it out and
Let's
ask
do
you a
it.
quick about your brother. I mean, and he's a twin. You said right, a twin brother.
Identical twin.
So that's crazy. So I'm sitting here thinking that's crazy. So I know you're like, you really had to make some serious shifts, mental, some
Hmm.
shifts because you're an identical twin. I can only fathom what you emotionally went through as a young boy growing up with your brother and your brother doing his thing. And he's playing baseball, he's doing his thing, and I'll give him a shout to Ian. I'm gonna give a shout for him out there. And if you listen to this, Ian, Coach Larry Seville's out here giving you a shout, brother. Pray and hope that you have a successful continued career, and you can get a chance to go play in the bigs. Even if it's just for half a season or whatever the case may be, get an opportunity to go out there and show what you can do. Coming from being an identical twin, you got your brother. What are some things you can tell the audience how you handle adversity, having to make that mind shift and that mental shift and a physical shift
Hmm.
to change your direction of baseball? What can you say, learning from your brother, and what he's doing versus you do? How do you handle that?
So, I mean, to be quite honest with you, I handled it really poorly at the
Okay,
time.
okay,
So, I turned to alcohol in high school to be able to emotionally cope with it, and that
okay,
was something that I didn't. Obviously, I regret that. I didn't fully understand the impacts of how
right.
alcohol affects how your body actually is able to heal from surgery. And I was just out here trying to emotionally cope with I can't do the things that I want to
You want
do,
to do
but I'm watching my twin brother achieve everything that I ever wanted literally in front of my face. So do not respond to adversity the way that I did, first and foremost.
Yes.
That is the absolute wrong way to go about it. It might feel like the appropriate means at the time, but you will regret that choice one day.
Amen.
And then you got to live with it and you got to accept it. Um, I would say the biggest difference that came down to it was I was scared to get hurt again rather than looking for the opportunity to say like, hey, I can use this and come back stronger. Like guys always say like, oh, I'll be better after TJ. Like, will you? Like you can be if you put in the correct work to put your body in the position to then it's not just like, hey, let me cut you open, tie this together and you're good to go. It's not that easy.
Right.
And I think the mindset shift that really allowed me to kind of to get over all of this was being able to throw a ball pain free again. Like I was like, I will never be able to do this again. I had chalked it up, accepted it. I was like, I'm gonna live with nerve pain for the rest of my life. And once that veil got lifted, it was like blues are bluer, greens are greener. Like, oh my God, I can see the world in a different light. And
Right.
it allowed me to kind of be like, all right, well, we can't change what happened in the past. You can change what's happening in the future so that you don't have to deal with this problem anymore, and you can help other people not have to deal with it as well. So I think it almost turned into like less of a selfish lens of like, I didn't get this one thing to, hey, I can help others achieve this one thing now.
I like that, man. So you got wisdom. You got some wisdom from it, and that's biblical and all that getting understanding. You got some understanding, you got some clarity, and you learn how to cope with it. Just deal with it. I mean, we all have adversities in life, and maybe that wasn't what God wanted you to do. Maybe He wants you to be who you are now, posture alignment specialist, because people need it. They don't think they need it, but they need it. They need it. And, as people continue to get injured, they're going to get injured. So you're going to have a job, period. You're going to have a job. It's gonna happen. It's recession proof. You're not gonna worry. It's just a matter of when, not if. It's just a matter of when. I appreciate you saying that, but I'm gonna ask you to. I'm gonna give you one more question for the others before you go. One more question. I was gonna close it out, but I know we got like a minute. Can you give the audience a moment that you can a play of the day that you experienced, you and your brother as twins together, that you can share with the audience?
I got a couple. So
Go ahead.
9 years old, I was throwing a state title game through a no-hitter, and my brother was behind the plate to catch that. Second one is our freshman year of high school. Me and him went combined perfect game in our very first game in high school. So that was pretty freaking cool to be a part of that.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I just had to give out a shout for your brother and you together. A moment, just for the audience so they can hear it. So his brother name is Ian Bedell. So you can look it up, Ian Bedell. Bedell. So I just want to make sure people do that. Also, give out your information so people can contact you. And a closing remark before we go out. If that's
Absolutely.
okay.
So you can find us on Instagram. The Instagram handle is going to be Posture by Connor. You can find us on YouTube. The name of the YouTube channel is going to be Windy City Performance Posture. And then we've also got a website out there, same name, Windy City Performance Posture. So a bunch of different resources out there. We've got more information as far as what posture actually is, how it works, different examples of exercises and things that you can try out to try to get your body to feel better and get yourself into a different situation. And I think the biggest thing that I want to leave people with is no matter how bad your situation is right now, you can change it. And I promise you can, because I've had 3 elbow surgeries. I no longer have to deal with the same issues I've got. We've worked with other people who have had even worse situations than me, with 3 surgeries from TOS, lung collapses, to I've had 3 bone spurs in my elbow. I've got screws in here. Like, you can change your situation if you take the responsibility for it and do the correct things to actually get to the result that you want.
I like that, man. I like that because you always use the word responsibility, and I don't hear that. I love that. He's always saying responsibility, because he's been through the fire and through the flood. He has been through it. But thank you, man. I appreciate it, Connor Bedell, and this is the 103rd episode. 103, the posture alignment specialist. Check him out on Instagram. If you got any injuries, anything that you want to prevent, or things you're going through in rehab, check him out. I'm quite sure you can probably DM him on Instagram and also YouTube. Look up his YouTube videos. You can learn something. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is more powerful when you apply the knowledge. You got to apply it. Don't just, faith without works is dead. It's not just faith happens. You got to work it. apply it, which leads me to the last thing. I'm always ask the audience, where are you being led? Today we had episode 103, the posture alignment specialist. We talked about so many great things about your body. We talked a little bit about Mike Trout, his injury. We talked a little bit about LeBron James. We talked about the longevity. The question is, where you being led stands for. L stands for listen. Listen to everything that Connor talked about today. I don't care what you say. Well. I don't want to hear it. Listen. Just listen. Just shut up. I'm sorry. That's just how I am. I'm pretty bold. I'm not vulgar, but I just speak the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, guys. So listen stands for L. L stands for listen. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. Listen. And once you listen, execute. E stands for execute. Execute on what he said. Faith without works is dead. I just said that. I'm gonna keep saying it because people always say, "Well, I know what to do." Well, you haven't done anything. Why are you still stuck? You're stuck because the word that Connor uses, responsibility. Responsibility. So execute what he just said. And the last letter is D. I personally believe that God's given everybody a purpose in life. That's what it says in Jeremiah 29:11. You have a responsibility, but also God gives you a purpose. And he understands, he discovered his purpose in life. One of the things he discovered that, listen, baseball is just a place where he started, but that's not where he's going to end. So he's going to be doing mighty more things in life. And you can be the same way. Dominate. He's dominating where L stands for listen, E stands for execute, and D stands for dominate. Episode 103, Connor Bedell, posture alignment specialist. This is Coach Larry signing out. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, have a great day.
You too, man.
All right, bro.